Inspirational talk. Everyday people. Inspirational talk. Intentional choices. Inspirational talk. Extraordinary outcomes. It's Inspirational Talk with Toneal. Now here's your host, International Award-winning author and filmmaker, Toneal M. Jackson.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it may be when you all are tuning into this broadcast. I am your International Award-winning author and filmmaker and host of Inspirational Talk, Toneal M. Jackson. And I want to welcome you all to an all-new Inspirational Talk. It is crazy that this is already February. This month and this year is already flying by. And so for that reason, I'm not going to take much more time. I have an incredible guest with me on tonight, and she is ready to go. And I am ready for you guys to meet her. She is someone that I've had the pleasure to meet on social media. She is extremely talented. She's an author. She's a playwright. She's a motivational speaker. And most importantly, she is here tonight to talk about her entrepreneurial journey, her upcoming project, Crucify, and so much more. Please help me give a warm, inspirational talk. Welcome to my guest, Miss Sheena D. Horne. How are you, Miss Sheena?
Greetings. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I am well also. And so I want to just go ahead and jump into it. For those people who may not know who you are, then what I would love for you to do is to give a background. I just kind of touched on a couple titles, right? But I'm sure there is so much more to you, as it is with everyone, than just what meets the eye. So if someone didn't know you, how would you introduce yourself?
Wow. Yeah, that's good. I never thought about that. My name is Sheena D. I also go by Indigo Ayora. Indigo Ayora is a name that came along with the journey once I started to come into what they would call the conscious community. Once I started to come into a certain amount of knowledge, I felt like I needed to change my name. But, I'm back to Sheena D. Indigo. Everyone calls me Indigo. They call me Sheena D. It don't matter. It's all me. I had to realize that it is still me. It's all inside of me within my DNA. I am a author. I write and produce children's books. I'm also a publisher, and I assist other publishers in producing children's books as well. I am also a playwright. I am a director, and of course, a motivational speaker. I do motivational speaking on my YouTube channel just to love to encourage people who feel like that they just can't take life anymore. Because I know how that feels. I've been there before many of times and came back. And I am most importantly a mommy. That's why I got these bags.
Girl, look, nobody would have seen them if you would not have pointed them out. So talk to us about, you named a whole lot, but what I'm most listening to is that whole mommy thing. Because anybody that knows me knows that being a mommy trumps everything, right? Mm-hmm. Like beyond all the titles, the reason why we do what we do really is because of them. So we're not going to keep it all on a little bundle of joy, but why don't you tell us about her?
Well, okay. So my son is 4 and my daughter is 8 months. My daughter was a complete surprise. She actually came at the time where I was going through the most challenging time within my life, which is, a little bit about what the stage play Crucify is about. My daughter came to me right after the passing of my mother. So I was like so unprepared because I was still grieving. Mm-hmm. She actually came like a month after we had buried my mom. And I was like, wait a minute, what? Like this, I'm still grieving. This can't be possible. I can't be a mommy again right now. It was really challenging to even give my son all the full attention that he needed at that time, because I couldn't even be there for myself. Like I was really, really distraught. But I am happy that, of course, that she's here. And it's crazy because you don't think about or having a second child or having a child, but then when you have them, you can't imagine your life without them. It's like, well, what would my life be without them? So yes, they are definitely a big part of the reason why I'm doing the things that I do, because I feel like that we do need to have a legacy to leave behind for our children. I want to be able to have my publishing company up and fully running. So God forbid if anything should happen and I should have to leave this planet, that they have, they're already self-sufficient. They don't have to go out here and work for anyone. And that goes for my production company, SCH Entertainment, as well. So, and that's something that I teach about in these books, The King and Training Wheels, and all these good books. These are my books by my fellow authors who are signed to Iron Middle Publishing. But A King in Training Wheels basically focus on just teaching the melanated community about themselves, how precious their skin is. Teaching our children is, because for me, I didn't learn about what melanin was until I was 25 years old. And I'm like, no, we can't repeat that cycle. We have to teach our babies about how precious they are. And I geared the first book towards young men because I felt like, well, maybe if we gear it towards young men, that maybe we could just help them to make better decisions, along the way. So the key is to, and it's really hard to even try to say that, but to keep them out of the system. And I say it's hard to say that because, they throw us in the system for anything. So the kids try to keep them out of the system, or, just keeping them from making mistakes that will, stop them from being able to live out their greatest potential.
Absolutely. No. And then, you just said a whole mouthful, because we look at what just happened with Tyree Nichols, right? And, some people may say, man, are you still talking about that? I don't think that it gets old, right? Because at the end of the day, this was a young man, a young Black man. And so you're talking about your son, and so we want to do whatever we can do to try to pray that by the time he gets of that age, that the world that we live in looks a little bit differently, right? And so let's talk about those books behind you. Let's talk about your journey as an author, because I know that you are a playwright, and we are definitely going to talk about that upcoming project. But we want to kind of talk about the road, the journey. Like, how did you get started? What inspired you to be an author, to write the types of books that you write, and then open up the doors to do it for other people?
Okay. Well, I first got started within my journey of like coming back into consciousness back in 2012, I want to say. Back at that time, I had stopped wearing my wigs. I used to have my wigs. I used to love my wigs. But I look back at some of the pictures, I'd be like, oh my God, that wig looked busted. But I started along that way. I actually had met someone who I was dating within that journey, and I learned a lot, and then after that, I just started doing more and more research myself. And it's like the more research I done, I just found out like how powerful we are as people, how powerful our hair is. People, we don't understand how powerful our hair is and how it's connected to the central nervous system. I just started to learn a lot of different things along the way. And as I mentioned before, I was like, what can I do to help accelerate our people? That's not the word I want to use, but I can't find it. It's up there somewhere, but I can't find it. But what can I do to help raise the frequency on the planet? There we go. What can I do to help raise the frequency on the planet? And for me, it just kept saying the children. That's what I kept hearing, is the children is the ones that need it the most. I had started writing The King in Training Wheels. That was the very first book I wrote. I started writing it and I stopped. And once I found out I was pregnant with my son, I started writing it again. It was like, I don't know, who just came and reminded me like, hey, I'm coming now. So what's up? And then also I was like, oh man, I'm about to have a baby. I got to find some other ways of making some income up in here. But it was, yeah, definitely firstly about just teaching about melanin. It teaches about chakras, again, about the central nervous system. It teaches about reflexology, because we don't know how important reflexology is. Like, a lot of pressure points are in our feet. You know, it also teaches about grounding, going outside and putting your feet in the soil, because you have a pounding headache and you go outside and put your feet on mama. It has the qualities in there in order to help you get rid of your headache, to actually make you feel better. You know, these are all things that I just felt like that our children really need to know. And for these books, I mean, because people will ask me, excuse me, are their children able to read it by themselves? And because it has some type, you know, different types of languages in there, a little bit extended words, you might need assistance from your parents. However, parents have told me that they've learned from the book as well. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's a beautiful thing, definitely. Absolutely. I hope I answered your question.
Oh no, you totally did. You totally did. You started telling us about the book and what gave you the inspiration. So you definitely did. And one of the things, you know, being a parent is that we end up going through the journey either with or because of our children anyway, right? So like, even if we didn't naturally read, a lot of times parents become selfless because they want to make sure that they're doing the best for their children. And so I know, like, when my girls were little, I had a lot of books too, and I would read to them. So I think that it's awesome what you're doing and how you are heightening awareness. And even Kareem said, I just heard this, raising the frequency. So how you are helping to raise the frequency. And so, like, for anyone who is just now tuning in, I have the pleasure of interviewing author and playwright and motivational speaker, Miss Sheena D. Horne. And so she has an interesting project that's coming up that she is working on, and it's called Crucified. And I really kind of want you to take a quick moment and give us a little bit of information about Crucified. Like, tell us what Crucified is, what made you want to go from writing a book to now taking things to the stage.
Okay, awesome. Well, I've started SDH Entertainment. Well, it was actually called SDH Productions back then. I started in 2014. That's actually when I produced my first stage play, and that one was called What Life Has in Store. So Crucified will be our fourth production. We had the previous production before that was called Judge Me Not. We was a part of the Capitol Fringe Festival and the Tribe Fest here in Washington, D.C. We also got a really great review with the D.C. theater scene, and also got a great review with the Capitol Fringe reviewers. So this will be our fourth production going up, and Crucified is one that I feel is crazy, because I actually shared with one of the actors that, I mean, I feel like all of my writings has its place and they're all good, you know, but I feel like Crucified is like that one that is going to like really travel to new heights. And I say that because it really deals with a young woman who is really going through this like type of depression, mixed with an addiction, which is alcoholism. And she's really battling one of the biggest demons inside of her, a family secret that I cannot say everything on, because you have to come see the show. But there's definitely a family secret, something that she knows that she's been holding on to for a long time. And now it just started to build up within her. And you're going to see that how she goes throughout the play and what exactly happens. Once you see what exactly happens, then you will understand why it's called Crucified. And the reason why I felt a need to write this production is because I wanted it to be an outlet for those who are dealing with with grief, you know, like the passing of a loved one, and an addiction, which I don't really think addictions are addictions. And I say that very lightly because I don't want anyone to be like, oh my gosh, addiction's not real. No, I'm not saying that, but I definitely know that addictions are definitely used as an escape. So I feel like we're addicted to the escaping rather than actually being addicted to the chemical.
Mm-hmm.
Or yeah. So what was I saying? I
You're
just heard
talking.
myself.
Oh, you were talking about what made you do the production and the fact that you were looking to bring an awareness, heighten awareness about depression and addiction.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, I wanted to definitely bring awareness to it and to let those who are suffering from depression or an addiction, let them know like you're not alone. During the time that I wrote this stage play, my mom had transitioned, and I was in a really, really state of depression. If you can imagine, having your mother transition and then being accused of murder. I'm laughing, but it's like a nervous laugh because I still can't believe it. And then, also finding out that I was pregnant. So it was a lot of things that transpired, and a lot of things that happened within the last 2 years, basically. So it's based off of my life. And it's just basically here to bring that awareness and also to show how the main character Yoshi, how she overcomes it, because and I feel like it's going to save so many lives. It's going to save that person that's just like, all right, after I see this play tonight, I'm done, or I don't even know if I can make it to this play, or I get to the play and I'm still thinking the whole time like my life is horrible, like I don't want to be here for real. Them seeing all the things that Yoshi encounters and then how she perseveres, I definitely feel like it's going to save. So it's like, I don't feel like it's just a stage play, it's a ministry. And I see this play like really going to a lot of different levels. Absolutely.
And you know what? And I think that is incredible because here's the thing, whether you are the author of a book, the author of a screenplay, like it's really about giving life to whatever it is that we're going through, right? So whether it is personally, whether it's ourselves, because as you were talking, I kind of had the feeling that it was going to be based upon your life, and again, my smiling is the same as yours. It's not about it being funny, but just understanding you on levels that you probably don't even know that I can understand. So for example, when you were talking about your mom passing away and then you found out that you were pregnant. Well, my mom passed away and she passed away in August of '02. And then 2.5 months later, my first daughter was born. And so like the whole reason why I got pregnant was because like right after we got married, she's like, okay, now I need you to hurry up and, get pregnant because I want to see my grandchild before I pass away. And so then she tells me in April, I'm sorry, because I know I'm not going to make it, and she passes away in August. And so like, I kind of know a thing or two about, when you're talking about depression and grief. And for me, I am also a huge advocate on raising awareness about grief, about depression, because I endured it. And I think that as a person, I say all the time that we are not independent, but we're supposed to be interdependent. And so whenever we go through something, that it's important that we share so that other people don't have to go through the same pain and hardships that we did. And so for you, my question is, what do you feel like is one of the best lessons that dealing with depression or overcoming depression? What's one of the best lessons that you learned?
To breathe through it.
I love it. I speak to that. I love that answer.
To just, you really have to just breathe through it. I started doing things like practicing breath work, which is things that I was doing prior to, everything that had transpired in my life, but I had stopped because, depression, you just be like, I don't care about any of this stuff. Like, I don't want to do this. So I started working, doing different types of breathing exercises, and just when I wasn't doing the breathing exercises, I was literally just doing my regular own, just like breathe it in and release. I heard someone say, breathe it in, and then on the exhale, you count to, it's like 1, 2, on the count of 3, you let it go, and that's basically all I could do at the moment. So that was something that I really learned to do. I mean, yeah, people will say, oh, well, you have to do something that you enjoy, and that works for a second. It works for a second. I feel like it's a journey. You know what I mean? You're not just gonna say, okay, wake up and be like, okay, I'm not gonna be depressed tomorrow, because you don't know. You don't know which way it's gonna go. You could try to have a good day, but that depression still just kicks in. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So the best thing I did was just breathe through it. And my kids are like the biggest reasons that I'm still here, because I was like, I can't leave my son without a mom. Like, that would be messed up, and because at the time I just had my son, and that's what I was just thinking, like, I can't do that. But it, like I said, it was really a challenging time, because if you could imagine, everyone, when I say everyone in my family, my friends, the whole neighborhood was against me. So it was a really, really challenging time.
Let me ask you this. Did you know that did you know after your mom passed away, did you know that grieving was necessary? Or did someone have to say, you know what, Sheena, take a day or take some time? Did you have to kind of make yourself grieve? Or did you understand that that's a natural part of this process?
I it's like, that it's a natural part of the process. But in addition to that, my brother-in-law had passed away 9 months before my mom. And him and my sister were together for over 14 years. So he basically saw me grow up. He was like my brother. He was my brother. And he was very young. He was only 46 years old. So I was really messed up about that. Like, that really, like, that was a shocker. Yeah, I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I show up to the hospital and my sister's like, he gone. I'm like, what are you doing? What? Like, I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking, like, does she mean he's gone to the store? Because you
don't want to accept it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, I was still dealing with that. And then I was dealing with that. And then the only way I could, like, relieve from that is to, go into the escape realm, I would say. And then dealing with my mom's death. So it was like a double whammy to the heart. So I wouldn't grieving. I'm still grieving. I was actually looking up the 6 stages of grieving the other night. And then my uncle just passed 2 days ago. Every year for the last 4 years, we've had death in our family. It's
Chad, wait a minute. Let me stop you really quickly, because let me tell you something. We're going to change this topic real quick, because what we're not going to do is have a whole sad topic. We're not going to go.
Sorry.
But no, because it's scary how similar our stories are. Like, literally for 10 years for me, from 2002 to 2012, every year there was someone major. My mom, 10 months later, my biological father, 5 months later, my grandmother, a year later, my aunt. Like, so when it starts, it just seems like it keeps going. But I speak that will not be your life. That will not be your truth, because it takes a lot to keep going in the midst of. It takes a lot to keep going when you feel like letting go, giving up, when you feel overstricken or overcome with grief or depression or anxiety. And so let me kind of shift it and say, let me ask, like, what, besides your children, What brought you out? What gave you to say, you know what? Hey, I got to keep going. I can't keep on crying. I got to find something. What was your something that kept you pushing forward?
Knowing what my purpose is on this planet, definitely. I really feel like I'm here to help raise the frequency of the planet through writing, writing stage plays, writing movies, writing children's books, also assisting children with writing their own book and assisting children with writing stage plays as well. So that was something that definitely helped me. Writing just helps me in general. I'm not a poet, but I do write poetry. You know what I mean? So that during that time, definitely I was able to get out a lot of my feelings. And I just had to really remind myself like of my purpose here. Like I have all these vision boards in my office right now. You know what I mean? I look at them, I'm like, okay, all right. You know, people may feel some type of way about me, but it's like, how do I feel about me? You know? And I feel and I know like my worth, you know what I mean? And I've always known my worth. I've always known my worth. It's just sometimes we fall. You know, none of us are perfect. None of us are perfect here on this planet, and we make mistakes. So once I got back to realizing my worth and knowing exactly why I'm here, then I was like, all right, I'm back in go mode. You know, I'm back in go mode. I mean, still have my days. We all do. Sometimes I'm happy. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I don't feel like doing this today. But even with that, I find the strength. Sometimes I use my mama as strength a lot because I used to see her get up. You know, she took care of 3 kids on her own. And I see her get up and go to work every day. Sometimes she didn't feel like it, but she still made it happen to make sure that, you know, we had a roof over our head, we had food in our stomach. So I use her energy a lot. And she comes to me in my dreams a lot. So I think that helps me.
That's awesome. Now, I know that you're also a motivational speaker. So, like, what types of topics do you normally like to talk about?
I generally love to speak with young women who are dealing just with life in general. Because understanding life it's like so complicated. It's so complicated. And then you know, young women growing up, they have different emotions, they're starting to have different feelings. And it's so much pressure to being put on our youth, like to just everything, social medias and like all in your face, and you have to look this way, you have to dress this way, you have to know what you're going to be, and you're not even in middle school yet. How do you know what you want to be when you grow up? Like, just let them live. Let them be children. So I definitely love to speak to children, and I also love speaking to those who are interested in writing and they may not know where to start. I like to get encouragement with that as well. Um, yeah.
I remember it's so funny you talking about with the children. I remember reading Michelle Obama's book Becoming a few years ago, and she said, you know, she said it always amazes me that we ask children, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" as though there's only one right answer. You know what I'm saying? And I think about myself, how many times, you know, my careers over the years changed, and you start here, and it's not necessarily because, oh, this job didn't work out or that job didn't work out. But you change things that you like when you're 20. You know, once you're 30, you don't like the same thing. You grow as a person, you evolve as a person. And so, that said, I have a question for you. Like, how do you feel that you have changed the most, as we won't say what age Sheena now, than who you were say 15 years ago? What is the biggest change that has come within your own personal evolution?
The biggest change for me was just learning about who we are, and the there it goes, trying to search for that word, I can't find it. And the learning about our Aboriginal culture was the biggest change for me. Because back then I was like, hey, listen, when I say this, it is no shade to anybody, because we're all out here living life. People, as long as you're enjoying life, I don't care what you do. You know what I mean? But I'm saying for me personally, things that had changed for me was like I mentioned, I had stopped wearing hair weave. I was actually vegan for 2.5 years. I'm not vegan no more, but don't tell nobody. Um, I was wearing fingernails back then. I mean, back then I felt like I was trying to be somebody who I didn't know I was trying to be, whereas I've always felt just different. I've always felt like I'm different from other people. And it not in a bad way to say like, oh, I'm superior or anything like that, because I'm far from, I don't think like that at all. I in fact, that's why I kind of strayed away from religion, because I feel like it's a hierarchy thing, and I don't like that. We're all here on this planet just trying to figure it out. So what was I saying? I have mommy brain.
Oh, no, you were talking about how things had changed with you, because initially you originally you were trying to be something else or be somebody else.
Yes. I felt like I was trying to be somebody else. And then like when I would go back and look at those photos of those hair weaves, I'm like, why nobody tell me this wig was looking like that on my head though? Like, and that's the biggest thing. I really found beauty within myself. When I even look back at some of the videos I've had from like 5 years ago, like even from 5 years ago, I've changed. 5 years ago, I was completely vegan. I was super small. Like I was like a stick. I look back at some of those pictures. I'm like, so nobody can tell me like my collarbone was sticking out, and for me, now looking back at that, I'm like, wow. But I was definitely in a different headspace. Back then I was like really hardcore vegan. You're not supposed to put certain things in your body because it causes mucus buildup. It causes cancer. Like I was really, really on that. And I think after the death of my brother-in-law, I know we're gonna talk about death more. I'm just gonna say after the death of my brother-in-law, I just kind of lightened up on it, on like the health kit, because I was like, you could be completely healthy out here and still fall out. But that's still I still encourage people to definitely eat healthy and make sure that you are working out. But that was the biggest thing for me, was basically refinding myself. Tapping into that DNA.
Absolutely, because I think that that's important. Certain things that you said, I want to kind of tap back on and bring it out, like, because we're always changing. You're like, hey, I don't even have to go back 15 years ago. I'm not the same person that I was 5 years ago. Some people may say I'm not even who I was last year. You know what I'm saying? And that's okay. I think, as you said earlier, life is it's a journey. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not okay a destination, so once you know where you are, then boom, tomorrow you're there. You're always evolving. You're always trying to figure it out. You're always trying to get there. And the way that you get there it teaches you things, right? If you go left instead of having gone right, if you go up instead of having gone down, like there are going to be some things that you learn along the way, some good and some bad. And it seems like with you, you take so much in stride, right? And it's like, one of the things that I want to know, because a lot of people are not able to multitask. So just, in this interview, you've revealed yourself to be an author. First, let's start this. You are a mom. So at the end of the day, that's already enough. And you have more than one child. I say all the time, every child is their own job. So that's already something. But then on top of that, you're an author. On top of that, you're a playwright. And you didn't just do one, you've done multiple. On top of that, you're a motivational speaker. How do you balance it all? How do you find the time? You have a 4-year-old and an 8-month-old. How do you find the time to do everything that you do and effectively wear the hats that you wear?
I don't know. I don't know, because yeah, sometimes I'll be like, I feel like it's not enough time in a day, like, and now I found that I have to get up extra early in order to get things completed. Um, and that's even hard because my baby's still co-sleeping with me. So it's like, well, I'd be trying to tiptoe out the bed, girl, like, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, definitely being able to have that support system, I would say, has helped a bit. Because I've tried to juggle everything on my own, and I had to come to the realization that I can't do it, because with me doing that, I start to forget about me. I start to forget about me along the way. Just like even today, I had to get about this house for a second. I was like, all right. They with their dad. I fed my baby girl, and I fed her. She's still nursing, and then I fed her bananas this morning as well. I was like, she good. I'm only gonna be gone 30 minutes down the street, and I just went, got my eyebrows done, got my feet done, because I just needed to. I needed to digress. You know what I'm saying? Just take a second for me. But yeah, I basically just do it step by step. I make a schedule. I usually write down, okay, this is what I plan on doing tomorrow. If I can get 3 out of the 4 things done, I'm accomplished. Yeah, I'm accomplished. But that's basically it. I don't know. Don't.
Here's the thing, because you're saying, well, that's basically it. And one of the things that I always try to do again is because you never know who's watching, right? You never know who's watching you. You never know who's going through exactly what you're going through now. And what comes so naturally for us may be a struggle for somebody else, right? And so I love that you are, giving those tips and saying, hey, look, even if it's only 30 minutes, an hour a day, it's still necessary that you have that time. Because I remember, my oldest daughter she'll be 21 later this year. I can't believe that. But I remember when they were young, like, I used to think that trying to do something for myself, that was selfish. I think, like, in this generation, it's really a strong emphasis on self-care, right? Because we now understand that concept that if I'm not good, how can I help to take care of everybody else? But in generations past, it was like you just look up and auntie is gone, or this one is in the hospital, because they were not taking care of themselves. And so, let's say we know you said the eyebrows and a pedicure. If you have a quick 2 minutes or not literally 2 minutes, so some minutes to yourself, some time to yourself, what are your favorite things to do to kind of just relax, to just recoup and get yourself back together?
I love to take a nice hot shower. those are things that, like, I'm like, I put baby girl, and she has like a little chair. I was sitting right outside the bathroom, put my son in his room, and I just hop in the shower is like my okay. I'm feeling a little bit better now. I can kind of wash off the day, and the next thing would be sleep, but I don't know what that feels like anymore.
You won't until they go to school full time, both of them, as they say, both of them. Because, girl, you will not know about sleep for another few years. But it's nice to think about it, nice to dream about it when you can. But absolutely. So for people who may just now be tuning in, let them know how they can get in touch with you, whether it is contacting you on social media, whether it's information about your upcoming play, Crucified. Like, how can they connect with you?
Okay, well, I could be found on Facebook at Indigo Iora. It's me, because it's gonna say, let's say, mommy of 2 to Prince and the Princess. You can also find me at SDH Entertainment on Facebook and Instagram, and I in the Middle Publishings, EITM Publishings, on Instagram and on Facebook as well. I think those are all the ways. I think I might be a little bit Googleable too. If you type my name in, I think all my little things come up. I know people do. I know y'all Google yourself sometimes.
Google yourself. I think everybody has like
Yeah.
actually in the industry doing something, and I don't care what the industry is. When you are out there establishing yourself as a public figure, I think everybody Googles themselves because they want to know who talking about me, what they talking about me as. So I love it. I absolutely love it. Now I got a couple more questions for you. With this journey that you've been on, what have you found to be the most rewarding part thus far?
The most rewarding part is being able to be a blessing, I guess you can say. Having people who just like, I've had people come up to me and like, wow, you have really nice energy. Like things like that is like, I'm like, really? Like I'm just walking down the street, minding my business. Like you can feel my energy. Things like that to me are rewarding because it makes me feel like, okay, maybe I'm doing something right, you know? Because again, we're all, I don't know about everybody else. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't have it all together. You know what I mean?
Any of us do. We still working on it. Absolutely.
Exactly. Like every day it's a process. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm still creating myself. And I'm sure, you know, I'm gonna have. I trust that I don't have any downfalls along the way, but we know how life is, you know, and it's all about the lessons that we learn from it. Other ones are like when I performed at New York Comedy Club. What's it called? Broadway Comedy Club, New York City. I performed out there years back, and I got a standing ovation for both shows that I did. That's when I was doing comedy. I'm thinking about hopping back into it though. You know, now that baby girl is going to be able to kind of be off mommy, be off mommy milk, and have her on some, you know, table food. I'm thinking about definitely hopping back into it. So that's one of the things, as well as when people come up to me like after the stage plays, and they like my uncle the next day, he was like, "Oh, look, that's the next Tyler Perry." You know, things like that make me feel good because it's like, wow, so you really definitely enjoyed my stage play. And my mom would always say, "I like all the stage plays you did, but I really like that first one. That first one you did, I really like that one."
I love it. It's always good to be able to have that encouragement and that support. Now, the opposite question has to also be asked. What has been the biggest challenge that you've had to face as an entrepreneur? I know, you know, losing your mom personally was definitely difficult, but as an entrepreneur, what has been the greatest challenge that you've had to face?
Applying for these grants.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
You want to use the right type of wordings and you know, just going through the what is the letter called that you have to send to them?
Like with the grant letter and the 501c3 and all of that type of stuff.
Oh yeah, all of those terminologies. That has been like the biggest challenge. Like actually, when I started to do the paperwork for my nonprofit, which is going to be the Horne Company of the Arts, I had to sit down and start working on a budget. I don't like math. I never liked math. I was not good at math in school. Like math is just not my thing. And then it was just, you know, I mean, the budget was easy because, you know, you just simply calculate and stuff. But then you got to calculate your losses, your gains, and all that. I was like,
yeah.
I'm going to get somebody to help me do this.
No, and let me tell you something, because accounting is not math. I stand by that. Like I have a master's in business. Accounting and math, I hate accounting. I love math. Accounting is not math at all. So definitely get somebody else to do that accounting for you because it's a whole headache. Absolutely.
And some of the other biggest challenges are, you know, like I actually didn't mention this earlier, but I kind of did. But I do offer playwriting courses for the youth. This is for 8 to 12 because I have two. This one's for the authors. I don't know if you can kind of see that. But one of the biggest challenges, like preparing myself for my free information session. And then, you know, you have days when nobody signs up and it's like, oh, but I'm all ready. I've practiced everything 100 times and, you know, I have it down to a T. So that is definitely, I wouldn't necessarily call it a downfall. I mean, it's just a stumbling block. You know, it's telling me, okay, you need to tweak this or tweak that to engage the audience a little bit more, to have them show up to your free information set. I'm like, it's free. Just come and listen to me, please. So that's for the author. And then I also offer for playwrights as well.
That's
so
awesome.
Yeah, that has been definitely a challenge.
But the fact of the matter is that I go back to the point you said, this is number 4. So even in spite of those challenges, like that's a testimony in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these entrepreneurs who are coming up, number one, they look at things. You have some who, let's just attack really quickly both ends of the spectrum. You have some that feel like, oh well, since everybody is doing it must be easy, right? So they underestimate the fact that there are going to be challenges and obstacles, and they think that because they woke up one day and want to do it, that now that's all that it is and you don't actually have to work. But then you have the other end of the spectrum, which is those individuals who may, you know, because they have in their mind made it to be so difficult, they don't even want to get started. And so, like, to that person who's looking and they're hearing you and they're like, well, if she have 2 children and I don't have any, if she has this and I don't have that, there's no way I can get started. What would you say to that person?
Don't go to your grave with your dreams. You need to leave everything. Don't leave anything untouched. That's definitely what I would say. Like, you're put here for a reason. Mm-hmm. And if something has been placed within your heart for you to do, then you need to see it through. Because if you don't, then you're just going to stand on the other side of fear. Mm-hmm. And standing on the other side of fear, I've done it for a long time, but it'll really stagnate you. It'll really stagnate you. I would say don't go to your grave with your dreams, with your goals, with your gifts. There we go.
I love that, with your gifts. I love that, because they always say, what do they say about the graveyard? Like the fact that all of these people, you die with your dreams, you die with those gifts and you never use them. And so, you know, I am so grateful that, Sheena, that you did, despite the obstacles, despite the hardships, you know, times when you could have given up, you didn't, and you kept going. And now you're here. However many books later, you know what I'm saying? How many stage plays later, you are still here and you are doing it, and you are doing it well. And so when does Crucified come out? Let us get those final details on Crucified so that way people can be ready to receive it when it comes.
Okay. So Crucified is going to be debuting April 14th and 15th at 7 p.m. at the Slayton House in Columbia, Maryland. We are currently still casting. We have about 1 or 2 roles that are left. Definitely looking for Mr. Roscoe. So Mr. Roscoe, if you out there, Mr. Roscoe is a fun, lively, he's spunky. He loves to sing, and he uses his plunger as a microphone. So Mr. Roscoe, if you want out there, come on and submit, because we definitely need you. And that information, you can submit that information to castings at sdhentertainment.com.
That is awesome. That is absolutely awesome. I have enjoyed it. It does not seem like it has just about been an hour already. I have definitely enjoyed this time together. We had so many viewers that were chiming in, and they absolutely love you and your message and your story and everything that it is that you are doing. And so I want to encourage all of those viewers to go ahead and connect with Miss Sheena. And if you guys are in her area, then go ahead, and she's still casting. She just told you she is still casting. And so do you have any final words that you would like to leave with our viewers on today?
My final words would be, Don't walk away from your dreams. For real. That'll be my final words. Don't walk away from your dreams. Don't leave your dreams behind. And always follow your first mind, as my mom would say. If you hear something, if something don't seem right, and follow your first mind, follow it through.
I love it. I love it. And my mother would say something, follow your first mind every time. Don't question it. Well,
Mhm.
Miss Sheena, thank you so much. And I wish you nothing but the best in all that you do. From being a mom, those little babies, we wish nothing but blessings and great things on them and for them with all of your books and your businesses. And of course, this newest project, Crucified, that will be debuting on April 14th and 15th. You guys be sure to connect with her on social media, check her out, and send her some love and support. And so I want to just thank all of you so much for tuning in. It has been a great show, and I just want you guys to be sure to stay connected to Inspirational Talk with Toneal. We are back and we are doing new shows. If you want to be a guest yourself, if you would like to be a guest on Inspirational Talk with Toneal, just send an email to TonealJackson@yahoo.com. And remember, this isn't about how many accolades that you have. This isn't about, even though my guest just had a lot, you may say, hey, I just have an inspirational story that I would like to share. Then send us an email. Let me know your story. And then we can go ahead and try to get you on the show because we are currently booking guests for this spring season. And so I just want to thank you all so much for watching. Also, I want to make sure that you know that you guys can connect with me directly by going to my website, which is my name is Toneal.com. That's my name is Toneal.com. And then finally, if you liked what you heard, and you want to send some support this way, you want to donate, you can either, when you're on social media, you can either send stars, or if you would like to send a donation via Cash App or even Zelle, you can definitely do that. We gladly appreciate and gratefully appreciate that support. But we want to thank you all so much for tuning in to another great episode of Inspirational Talk. I want to definitely thank my guest, Miss Sheena Horne, again for coming on. She is absolutely incredible. And so thank you all so much for tuning in. And you all, until next time, you guys stay blessed.